Hello and welcome back to our Chapter 6, Fraud and White Collar Crime video lecture. We are going to explain the various theories of why people commit fraud. The fraud diamond was proposed in 2004 by Wolf and Emerson. The underlying proposition is that in addition to pressure, opportunity, and rationalization, the fraud triangle, offenders also need the capability to commit the act. Wolf and Emerson asserted that opportunity opens the door, incentive and rationalization draw offenders towards the door, and capability pushes them through. Under the knucklehead defense, an attorney would argue that even if the client was motivated to commit the crime and had the opportunity, he or she did not have the ability to carry it out. A byproduct of Albert's 1984 study is the fraud scale. So this study proposes replacing the rationalization component of the fraud triangle with integrity. The underlying proposition is that integrity, which is reflected in one's decision, influences deviant behavior. Fraud is more likely to occur when there is high pressure or less likely to occur when there is low pressure. Fraud is also greater opportunity and low personal integrity. All else equal, the scales are in balance. And then Dimitri, Fleming, and Kranecker and Riley propose a meta-model of a white-collar crime. So as the name implies, the model represents a collection of concepts that are anchored by the fraud triangle. So the purpose of the model is to strengthen relationships between the concepts, specifically the conditions that create the impediments for fraud. So pressure, opportunity, and rationalization. And the efforts to prevent and deter fraud, such as internal controls and the probability of detection, and aspects of the fraud action. Specifically designed as a framework for instruction in the classroom, this meta-model is the latest contribution to the exploration and discussion of why people commit fraud. So traditional economic theory suggests that individuals are motivated by self-interest. We can reason that people are more likely to commit fraud when it is in their self-interest to do so. That's the line of reasoning. The calculus of fraud is proposed. So the calculus of fraud represents the simple propositions that individuals will commit fraud where the reward is greater than the product of the probability of getting caught and perceived gravity of the loss. So the R, which is the reward, has to be greater than P, the probability of getting caught, and L, the loss. So the proposition frames the decision-making circumstances as a calculated choice. So consider the situation where we have executive compensation that's based on firm performance. So if the firm has failed to perform, a bonus is not awarded. However, if you tweak the numbers to give the appearance of strong performance, which is known as earnings management, the executive can ensure their bonus. So this example is a rational calculation. Risk-adjusted cost-benefit analysis is only a crude approximation of what really happens in reality. So human behavior is too complex and uncertain to be accurately described in simple terms. So then we have criminal decision-making, a rational choice. So theories of the criminal decision-making process, the reasoning behind the action, continues to evolve. Much of the recent research is based on the rational choice theory. And that's rooted in economic theory. The rational choice suggests that offenders are rational calculators. They choose courses of action such as fraud that produce the optimal rewards with limited effort. The decision to commit a crime is generally based on a number of factors like your temperament, your upbringing, your self-perception, and your previous experience with crime. So once a person has decided to commit a crime, the specific crime, such as embezzlement, is chosen through an analysis of opportunities and a cost-benefit trade-off. So these perceived benefits of a crime increase its likelihood, and include low effort, maybe little skill, available targets, high expected yield, confrontation or lack thereof with the victim, and a low risk of apprehension. Costs, on the other hand, could be high effort, high skill, high risk of getting caught, etc. So rational choice is considered a crime-specific theory because different crimes meet different needs for the offender, and because the context in which the rationale choices occur, like this cost-benefit analysis, is unique to each offense. So techniques of rationalization are neutralization. So fraudsters can rationalize their behavior to themselves and to the world in a multitude of ways. So a principal theory of rationalization is neutralization, which proposes denial, condemnation, and higher loyalty as a means by which offenders neutralize their role in a crime. So there are three common denial techniques. You deny responsibility. That's when offenders deny responsibility. They view their behavior as a result of circumstances beyond their control. Or you deny injury. That's where offenders deny injury. They feel as though that their behavior did not hurt anyone, even though it is against the law. And denial of the victim. When offenders deny the victim, they conclude that the victim was deserving of those injuries. So condemnation is an effort to neutralize one's actions by shifting blame to those who condemn the behavior, such as like coworkers, the employer, prosecutors, or law enforcement. Condemnation is commonly used by student cheaters who claim that instructors are unfair, unethical, or uncaring. Offenders may feel their crime is legitimized because a bond dictates greater relevance to this group than to a conventional society. So, for example, we have the Health South fraud that was facilitated by a number of staff-level employees who were motivated not by personal gain, but a strong commitment to the organization. So now we have a general theory of crime. So we're looking at fraud theory here with now a general theory of crime, which explains crime as a natural consequence of uncontrolled human desire to seek pleasure and avoid pain. So crime is an attractive means of pursuing your self-interest because it provides immediate, easy, and short-term pleasure. The general theory of crime is applicable to all types of crime, which include white-collar crime, but it has two components: opportunity and self-control. Opportunity is being in a situation where a fraudulent act is possible, and self-control is the ability to control one's emotions and desires. Then we have organizational misconduct. So although fraud theory applies to individuals, an extension is organizational misconduct. Though the misconduct of an organization is perpetrated by its agents or employees. So we define organizational misconduct as misconduct performed by individuals on behalf of the organization. So research on organizational misconduct has historically focused on the why fraud occurs. The dominant working theory proposes that misconduct occurs when an individual in an organization encounters the right combination of pressure and opportunity without the fear of detection. So at the extreme, the proposition, like the fraud theory, assumes that organizational agents are among rational thinkers. They're weighing the cost against the benefits. In large organizations where financial pressures are often present and opportunities for misconduct are more difficult to control, the leadership of top management is especially critical in building an ethical culture that discourages this misconduct. And that is also known as tone at the top. So research suggests that the tone at the top is the most influential on individuals with lower positions in the company's hierarchy. And that concludes our video lesson for this learning objective.